The pandemic and social distancing forced many of us to live a more virtual life. I am so pleased to welcome the midlife maven, Alison Jacobson. She's a nationally recognized family safety expert and coach. Welcome, Alison.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be speaking with you today at Oasis. My name is Alison Jacobson. I am a midlife expert. I help women in midlife, provide them tips, resources, and advice on how to keep themselves and everybody in their family happy, healthy, safe, and strong. And I so wish I could be with you in person in San Diego. Truly, San Diego is one of my favorite places in the world, but still with COVID, we are distant, and hopefully that will change next year because I would love to be there in person. But we've all gotten so used to being online, whether it's Zooming with friends and family or doing Skype calls or being online for work or even doing telemedicine health visits. We've gotten really used to doing a lot online, which is great. But the problem is hackers have gotten even more sophisticated because they know so many more people are online. It's just, it's like this open, free place for them to find people now. And so what that means is we have to get a lot smarter about protecting ourselves and all of our information online. And it's a lot of us have gotten those emails where it's like, hey, I represent a prince from a small island and he has decided to let you take all of his money and invest it, right? We've gotten those emails. We're used to those, but it's gotten so much more sophisticated. I had that happen to me this morning. I looked at my email and there was an email that said Apple Pay support. Open it up and it says, thank you for renewing your subscription to Apple Music. And I said, I don't have a subscription to Apple Music, I don't think. But sometimes you get things for free, 30-day trial, and then you forget to cancel it. So I said, well, maybe I did do that. And then I looked and it was $199. And I was like, what? There is no way I would approve a $199 payment. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm going to have to be online with Apple all day fighting this, and I almost clicked on the link. And then I went to look at the email address it was coming from. And sure enough, it was gdb970@gmail.com. And I went, it's a scam. But it looks so real, right? We get emails from our banks, from Apple, from everything, and it looks so real. So we really have to up our game in terms of protecting ourselves online. And I want to give you a few tips on how you can do that for yourselves, your kids, your parents, your friends, everybody, because it's super important to share this advice. So the first thing is strengthen your passwords and change them frequently. Now, look, I know I never remember my passwords, and my husband and I are constantly like, did you change the password? No, did you change the password? It's bad. And it's so much easier to have every site you're on with the same password. But here's the problem. If a hacker gets in and finds that password, they can get into all your sites. So I know it's a hassle, but have different passwords for every one of your sites. And you can keep a little page or something as a vault locked on your phone so only you can get into it. But it's really important to have those separate passwords. And it's really, really important to change them frequently. So I make it a habit just to change my passwords every birthday of mine. I mean, it's just kind of like changing the batteries on your fire detectors, right? You do that every time you turn the clocks back. Well, I just changed my passwords on my birthday. So it's easy to remember, but it's super, super important to do. The other thing is protect your home Wi-Fi. That's where we're spending most of the time, right? And if you don't have your Wi-Fi password protected, literally, people can drive by your neighborhood, hackers, and get into your home Wi-Fi and then they have access to your banking information, your personal information, all of that. You've got to make sure that you lock down your home Wi-Fi to make sure that nobody can get it, and make sure that your kids aren't sharing that password with their friends. Okay, that's super important. But also know what you already have. People don't realize they have already a lot of built-in Wi-Fi protection. So with Cox, with their panoramic Wi-Fi, it includes advanced security that takes less than a minute to set up. It learns to monitor and analyze all of your Wi-Fi traffic, and it automatically detects if there's some suspicious activity, and it will send you alert letting you know that. So your home network is really well covered. It also covers all the devices that are on your home network. So that's your gaming consoles, your phones, your iPads. Everything is already covered, and it's completely free. So know what you have before you sign up to pay for other security. The other thing that's important is use two-factor authentication. Here's what that is. So for example, when I'm on my banking app and say I go to send money to my kids or something like that, it will say it's automatically sending a passcode to my text, and I have to put in that number. That's two-factor authentication, and that helps prevent any scammers from getting into your information. So whenever you can set up that two-factor authentication, absolutely do it. I have it now on Google if I'm doing anything. I have it, as I said, on my banking. Wherever you can set up two-factor authentication, definitely do that. Be aware of those obnoxious pop-ups, and don't click on them. So let me give you an example. It's very tempting when I am online and I'm looking at something and up pops something for shoes, right? I want to look at those cute shoes because I love buying shoes. But if I click on that pop-up, it just opens up me to get to every other site. And so that information then starts following me. And what I mean by that is, have you ever had that example where you've clicked on something you want to buy? Maybe it's a new barbecue grill. Well, all of a sudden, wherever you're looking, there's ads for barbecue grills coming up, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Instagram. It's because that bit of information that you clicked on your pop-up then follows you everywhere, and it's sharing your information. Now, what's great about what's happened with changes with Facebook is you can stop these pop-ups and you can turn off Facebook activity. So what that means is you are telling all the sites, do not share your information with Facebook. Okay, so now when you go to a site, it will ask you, do you want to share your information? You can say no. You can also shut it off within Facebook. So what you're going to do is in Facebook, you're going to go to privacy and settings. You're then going to go and hit the settings button. You're then going to go to your Facebook information button. You're going to click on that, and then you're going to go to off Facebook activity. And when you go to off Facebook activity, you're going to see a lot of information. You're going to see what sites have already shared your information with Facebook. You're going to have the opportunity to turn off all activity and all sites sharing with Facebook, and you can delete any previous information as well. So that's all done in the settings in Facebook. You could also do that on your iPhone. You can shut off all sorts of sharing apps and ad activity that would happen automatically through your iPhone. And that brings up another point. Make sure that you're not sharing information across your social media channels, okay? Make sure that your accounts are private. And what that means is not just anybody can follow you. You have to approve them first on Instagram, because other than that, somebody can just follow you. Don't accept friend requests from people you don't know. I am sure you've had this happen to you now, where it looks like someone you know is trying to friend request you on Facebook, and you might think, I thought I was already friends with that person. Chances are you are, and that's a hacker who's gotten into your friend's Facebook page and is now trying to get into your Facebook page. So the best way to check that too is if you get a friend request from somebody who you think is already friends, don't open it. Go and search for their Facebook channel and see if the pictures match, because chances are it's an old picture and that's how they grabbed it. Okay, so be very mindful of that, because that's how hackers get in. It completely just destroys your social media. It just goes all over the place. So make sure that you have all of your Facebook, Instagram, social media marked as private. Do not share it. The other thing is, please, please, please be careful when you're posting photos of yourself, your kids, your grandkids, anything. Don't have any identifying information in that picture, such as, you know, in the background is your street sign or the number of your house, or you're taking a picture in front of your kid's high school or anything like that. That could be identifying information that hackers can glean. Also, from a security standpoint, I always say this: do not post pictures while you're on vacation. That is just letting anybody know, hey, I'm on vacation, my house is empty, go for it. Wait till you get back and then do a photo dump and dump all your pictures then. Don't announce to the world that your home is empty, okay? Really important. The other thing is, don't fall for phishing emails or posers or anything like that. Be very mindful of your financial privacy and information. As we said, you know, there's always that like scam of an email of the crown prince of some small island, but it gets worse than that, okay? Like I said, it can look like your bank is sending you an email. Don't click on any site that asks for your personal or financial information. If you might think it's legitimate, don't click on that. Go to the company's site. Okay, so say you bank with Wells Fargo and you get an email from Wells Fargo and says there has been a breach of our security. Please confirm your account by clicking here. Okay, don't do that. Go to Wells Fargo's site itself. See if there's anything up on that, or even call Wells Fargo and say, have you sent out an email about a security breach? No reputable site is going to ask you for that information. Another thing that's happening so recently now too is, I'm sure you have it set up on your phone where it tells you if it's a scam likely coming in, but hackers have gotten really good at making it look like it's a call coming from either a friend or some number from your town. My daughter is still in high school. I had a call where it looked like it was coming from her high school. It wasn't. I answered. Okay, so be very mindful that it's really coming from a number, and that is another big scam, and it happens to seniors so often, where you get a call, they say it's the Internal Revenue Service, they are looking at either investigating your accounts, they're investigating, and you must call back this number or there's going to be a warrant for your arrest. Okay, it's not true. Okay, but it's so easy, especially for our aging parents. They are so vulnerable to these scams. Any voice of authority they truly believe, without having any sort of BS detector inside them to say this can't possibly be real. Okay, we fall for it. Of course our aging parents are going to fall for it. So sit down, even print out, write down some of these tips and hand them to your parents. Make sure they know these are scams. If they have, I've told my mom, if she has any question about any call, any email, anything on her phone that pops up, I've always told her, call me first, ask me. If something pops up on her computer that looks like it's very strange or asking to upgrade software or something, I always tell her, don't touch anything, don't tap on anything, don't click on anything, call me and ask me first. And I've really gotten her in the habit. But you really have to instill that in your parents, because they're not going to really know that. The other thing is your kids, right? they're all on gaming systems. They are all meeting people online through gaming system, people they have never met in real life, and they are so accustomed to just sharing information. Have that conversation that that person they're playing games with may not necessarily be who they are saying they are and posing to be. That person who is posing as an 18-year-old boy might actually be a 49-year-old man, or a girl. It might not be a teen girl, it may be a guy. So really educate your kids that A, they shouldn't give information over the internet or over gaming, whatever it is. And B, tell them to be skeptical, and certainly not to meet anyone in real life that they have met over online gaming or whatever. I mean, there have been so many tragedies of young girls being lured to meet guys and young boys being lured to meet guys, and they are abducted, okay? Or they are sexually assaulted. So please make sure you really talk to them about that. The good news again is with Cox's Advanced Security, which is available with panoramic Wi-Fi for free, it prevents cyber attacks, it blocks any unknown connections, it routinely scans for scammers, for hacks, for any of that. So, it takes a little bit of the pressure off of you to think, oh my gosh, is this real? Is this, is this a phishing? Is this a scam? Is it legitimate? Because with the Cox Advanced Security, it's going to block out a lot of that before you even see it. And it's all free. That's the beauty too. Check the validity of a site before you shop on it, okay? I didn't know this, and this is fascinating. So, I've had the problem before where I've gone online, especially during COVID where we weren't in stores buying things. I would go online, buy something, it looked really cute, a cute shirt or something, and then all of a sudden I'm waiting like 3 months, 4 months for it to come. And what I didn't realize is, first of all, I didn't read the reviews, so shame on me. Second of all, I didn't read where it was coming from. Third, I didn't realize that it's a ridiculous return policy. But it gets even worse than that, because you may be using a site that's not secure either. And the way you can tell is when you are in that bar at the top and it's the HTTPS and then followed by whatever site it is. If it doesn't have the S in HTTPS, that S stands for secure. So if it's not there, it's not a secure site, meaning that if you input your banking information, your address, any of that information, it is going across and put into an insecure site where it's open to anybody to grab. And we've seen so many legitimate hacking situations in the past with big companies. Be mindful of these little companies that are all over the internet now for online shopping. If the S is not under that HTTPS, that's a problem. Don't shop there. Lastly, don't use open Wi-Fi. Now that we're all back out in the community, if you're sitting in a coffee shop, if you are somewhere out in the community and there is free Wi-Fi and open Wi-Fi, do not use that. Don't use it for shopping. Don't use it for any personal information, because literally the person sitting next to you can be hacking in to that open Wi-Fi and getting your information. So I'm even skeptical. I don't even like using password protected when I'm in a coffee shop there online. I just don't still feel it's secure. So I never do shopping online on my computer when I'm out in the community. And if I am on my laptop, I use my iPhone's hotspot. So I set up a hotspot that's password protected. Again, I've got a password on there. No one can get on, but that's what I use to be really careful and really safe. So listen, it's wonderful being online. There's amazing groups and Facebook groups and resources out there, but we also have to be very savvy, very smart, and very skeptical when it comes to people asking us for information. over the internet, over Wi-Fi, whatever it is, be skeptical. Don't click on anything. Shut it down. Call the company that's asking for the information. See if it's legit. Look at that email address. See if it's legitimate. Look and see if it says HTTPS. Lock down all of your Wi-Fi. Use the free security that you're going to get from Cox to check everything, to shut down, and lock down your Wi-Fi, and make sure that you have all of your devices connected so that they're getting protected as well. And you can set this up in less than a minute. So if you need more information on how to do this, how to protect your Wi-Fi at home, you can just go to cox.com. And thank you again so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Alison. It's wonderful to have you back. I remember your first visit to San Diego when you came to visit, and we learned so much about your family and just how you were using smart home technology in such incredible ways to help all of your family members. Can you talk a little bit about using smart home technologies and how your family members are safer and more empowered, and how are you really more at peace when all these technologies are engaged?
Well, again, thank you so much for having me back. I love being here. I have an interesting situation. So I live with my mother. My husband has primary progressive MS, so he is. I have my son with intellectual disabilities who lives at home. So I have a host of people in my home who really need my assistance, but I travel, I work, and it's not always easy to be there. So with all of the smart devices, I'm able to look in on them to make sure everything's okay. I get alerts when they come in and come through the door. In fact, my son's coming home soon from his day program. I'll be getting an alert when he comes in the door. And as you said, it gives me the peace of mind knowing everybody's okay. And this is also, I feel grateful that my mom lives with me, but for so many people, their parents live far away. With smart home technology, they can live somewhere else, and you can still get alerts, see what's happening, have cameras, and really, understand what's going on to keep them safe.
So I'm interested in knowing these notifications. If you have someone, like you mentioned, your son who's with you, or your mom, versus somebody who's remote, how would you think about choices? What devices do I look for, and how do I think about that?
Well, I think everybody's situation is unique. Again, my husband has primary progressive MS. He can get out of bed, but for many people, they can't. And so there are actually pressure pads on the floor and sensors. So if I'm away and my aging relative lives somewhere else, if they don't get up from bed, I could get an alert on my phone saying they haven't gotten out of bed for the day. And so I can check in on them. So it depends on how you want to use it. I mean, quite frankly, you can use it for your pets. If you're working and you're back in the office now, you can check in on your pets. If my husband, he has very hard time transferring from his power chair to another chair. So if he's already in his chair and somebody's at the door, I don't want him to have to go and see who it is. We have cameras on the door. We can see who's there. And from my phone, I can actually unlock the door and let them come in. So there's just such a host of ways to make life easier and allow people to age in place and remain where they are, which keeping that independence is just so critical to everybody.
Thank you, Alison. So the questions are coming in from our YouTube and our Zoom audience, and I'd like to take one from Angie. Angie's asking, are there any tools to enable cognitively impaired to be safe?
Well, I think, so the short answer is yes. I think the challenge is there's very different areas of how cognitively impaired. So if you have somebody who's cognitively impaired, but they can move their arms, there's things you can do. So I would definitely suggest Google searching, because even just from 5 or 10 years ago, there are so many more products on the market and smart devices to allow people to stay at home. So I would search what's right for your situation. I know, so my son, who's intellectually disabled, he can cook, but it makes me nervous with him using the gas range. So there are ways to make sure that that never turns on, or an alert if it hasn't been turned off. And that's big as well.
Excellent, thank you so much. Have you seen a big change? So for example, if you were using smart locks 5, 10 years ago and the new smart locks coming to the market today, are there big differences? Are there some products, even if you've been using, that are worth checking out now because technology has improved a lot? Anything you can offer on that?
Well, I not only do I think technology has improved, but it's also gotten bundled. So no longer do you have one device that works on one app and another device that works on the other app. What's nice is, and that's like Cox Smart Home, everything is integrated seamlessly. I'm sure you remember when we used to have 2 or 3 different remotes, and we had one for the VCR and one for the TV. Now what's nice is everything is bundled and consolidated and seamless, so it can all work together. And I think that's been the biggest change and upgrade in the past few years.
The next question is about devices and how you are using them at your home. Earlier today, we heard from one of our instructors how, keeping life easier, if you work with an iPhone, then you perhaps go with an Apple product versus making sure all of your devices are in the same software package and the same platform. Has that been your experiences? Are you really picking devices to make it easier for you to integrate them all into one system?
100%. And I think that's what we were just talking about, where everything is now seamless. So like the whole Cox Smart Home, that's integrated with the panoramic Wi-Fi. And again, you need to have, I think the key is with all of these smart devices, it's taking more broadband usage. So you want to make sure you have high-speed internet to use everything. And I think especially we saw this with COVID. I had 2 kids home from school. I was home. Everybody was online, and that can slow down your Wi-Fi. So you want to make sure that you have Wi-Fi that can handle all these smart devices. But yes, keeping it simple, keeping everything integrated is big. And I now have a smart oven, which I absolutely love.
The next question is about Wi-Fi. What is the difference between Wi-Fi, panoramic Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi hotspot?
Well, so panoramic Wi-Fi allows for the whole home to be covered. My home, for example, is very long. So there's areas where my Wi-Fi doesn't necessarily reach and it buffers. With panoramic Wi-Fi, it allows you to cover the whole home. A Wi-Fi hotspot can be used outside your house. So as I was saying before in my video, if you don't want to use public Wi-Fi, which you shouldn't, you have a Wi-Fi hotspot on your iPhone. That's password protected. So if you're out in the community or if you're sitting at an airport, you can use your Wi-Fi hotspot, and that is password protected, so it keeps it safe.
Excellent tips. Thank you so much, Alison. The last question we're going to take has to do with grandkids. So we have a lot of grandparents here at Oasis who love their grandchildren, of course. So any tips for knowing what to do, what to watch out for? Because sometimes they're on their iPad or something and we don't even know what they're doing. So anything simple and strategic that you can offer?
Well, I think and you know what, it's not just grandkids. I can tell you that every day I'm learning something new from my 16-year-old. So rather than tips to know about your grandkids, I would really encourage everybody to sit down, have a conversation with your grandkids, with your kids, ask them what they know, ask them to show you things so that you understand what they're doing, you could be more involved, and you can become more savvy. And I think that's very important. But the other thing, like I said in the video, is make sure you're always telling your kids not to share their personal information, to keep all of their social media sites private, so not everybody can come on, and not to share everything over the internet, because once it's up there for your life.
Wonderful, wonderful tips. Thank you so much, Alison. We enjoyed having you here today.
Thank you so much for having me.